Hello everyone, and thanks for taking the time to review the Los Gatos, California real estate market analysis for September 2008. My name is Robert Whitelaw, and I'm a licensed real estate broker in the state of California. I'm also a member of the National Association of Realtors and a certified E-Pro, and I'm also the president and CEO of Whitelaw & Sons Real Estate, serving all of Silicon Valley. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the supply and demand numbers for Los Gatos. I want to also start off by apologizing for not getting a report out last month. Unfortunately, I had some technical difficulties last month, but everything's back up to speed now, so we'll be able to get these out to you on a regular basis. Now, we're going to go ahead and first look at the inventory numbers. Now, this is probably one of the most shocking changes we've seen in the recent market for Los Gatos. It really has shot up. Inventory is up 91.4%. I've taken a closer look at these numbers. There's nothing I can point to as a reason for this other than just there's a lot of folks jumping into the market. It may be that a lot of folks who live in Los Gatos or who might be paying more attention to the market have seen that Los Gatos has been a more robust place so far and might be thinking now is the time to take out some of that money in terms of selling their properties. But I'll tell you, we saw a very big jump in September in the number of homes, not only in terms of inventory, but also the number of homes that were listed. But it wasn't too much of a stretch from previous years as far as the number of homes listed. But let's just cover the inventory numbers at this point. Now, as I mentioned, it's up 91.4% from the same time last year. That's 85 more homes on the market in Los Gatos in September of 2008 than at the same time in 2007. That gives us a grand total of 178 homes currently on the market in Los Gatos. As you can see, that's a record-setting number. It approaches what we saw back in 2004. If we also now filter in the number of homes that were listed, we can see we've also got a pretty big jump on the number of homes that are listed. In fact, it's a record-setting number of homes that were added to the market in the month of September, going back all the way to 1999. We had a 127.8% increase in the number of homes that were listed in the month of September from last year. That's up 46, so it's 46 more homes listed than the same time last year, for a total homes listed of 82 just in the month of September. So that added quite a bit to our overall inventory. Now then, if we take a look at our sales numbers, this is really not horrible. I mean, it didn't grow obviously as much as the inventory numbers did. The number of homes sold was up 64.7%. That's 11 more homes sold in the month of September of 2008, the same time last year. That gives us a total number of homes sold of 29. Now, to sort of look at the trend here, since 2006, we've actually seen a gradual increase in the number of homes that are sold, and that's really good news. Last year it was particularly good news because inventory was down so low. We still saw an increase in sales, but the actual number of homes on the market was down, whereas in 2006, those numbers didn't look quite as good. Now what we've got is a relationship that really sort of mirrors what we saw back in 2006 as far as the relationship between inventory and sold homes. Now, if we look at what I like to call the magic ratio, this is the number that sort of gives us a little bit of a way to get a feeling for how good the market is. And it's basically the number of months that we currently have on hand of inventory. So if the inventory numbers and the sales numbers froze as they are right now, how long would it take us to sell off the entire inventory? And that number is sitting at 6.13. Now, that is finally over the point where I'd say that's okay. I mean, once it gets past 6, that's a concern for me. Usually once it hits about 5.5, that's where I start to worry about a market. A good balanced market is usually somewhere below 5.5, 5, right in that ballpark. Last month, it was 5.47, so we had a pretty big jump. It'll be interesting to see what the future months bring. It's actually kind of a surprise in September to see so many homes being listed. We'll get into that a little bit more when we look at the more short-term, just going back months numbers. But it's not a good indicator. So we've definitely seen, at least this month, a downturn in the market in Los Gatos that's much more pronounced than we've seen in other months. Now remember, none of these numbers take into account the recent economic troubles that we've had and the bailout and all those types of things. Those won't even start to be felt in the statistics until we do the October numbers at the beginning of next month. So now let's go ahead and take a look at these same numbers, but we're going to look at them from the perspective of just past months, going all the way back to June of 2007. Now, first, as always, we'll take a look at inventory numbers. We can see where we are now with inventory. Obviously, we're at a year high. A little unusual. We wouldn't normally expect this. If you look back to September of 2007, you can see that in general terms, inventories tended to decline from June to September, which is fairly normal as we sell off inventory during the summer months. Now this time, a little bit of a different situation. We actually had relatively flat inventory numbers, a slight decline over the summer months, but then a really big jump here in September. So we're seeing very different performance than we've seen historically in the past. Normally what we would expect at this point, if we look at last year as a model, and last year was a little bit strange as well, we would see it go up. But normally in this type of a market, you'd expect to see inventory go down a little bit. And then, of course, once you hit November, we would normally see things go down as folks take their homes off the market for the holiday season. Now, last year we didn't really see that. We did the year before. We saw that in 2006. But the last year, 2 years have been anything but typical. So we're definitely seeing some different types of performance here. Now, if we take a look at the number of homes that were listed, again, we can see it's obviously been a big jump in the month of September. Last year, it just wasn't quite at that level. We saw a steady decline in the homes that got listed. June and July and August are usually the months when folks are thinking about getting their homes sold, so that's usually when homes get added to the marketplace. And then right around September, that's when people are usually not thinking quite so much about it. September, October, November, December, all through those months, folks usually aren't thinking about getting their homes sold. They're thinking more about the holidays. And then we see the typical seasonal increase in January. Not what we saw this month. So whenever I see things that are going outside of what the usual expectations are or what historically we've seen, it makes me wonder what kind of other transitions are going on in the market. Now finally, let's take a look at sales. Clearly this isn't the best sales numbers we've seen over the period covered here. We did get a pretty good summer season. May, June were really our strongest months for sales. July was fairly good. We had a bigger drop off than I think I would have normally expected. If you look at last year, June and July and August were all very good sales months, with a drop in September last year of 2007, and continuing drops all the way through until we hit December. Now, aside from that slight December increase, that's fairly normal. We expect to see less people out there shopping, but I am seeing a lot more buyers, or at least I was seeing a lot more buyers in the month of September. So I think that accounts for some of the unusually high sales for a September month. I think a lot of folks out there are looking to find some deals, and some of that even affected the Los Gatos market, where more people are coming out to shop. Now, if we just do the statistical analysis on this, between August and September, inventory increased 13.4%. That was 21 homes added to the market overall. The number of homes that were listed increased 54.7% for a total increase of 29 homes added to the inventory through new listings. Sales increased 27.3% from month to month. That's an increase of 6. So we sold 6 more homes in September than we did in August, which again is a little bit unusual. Now, if we look at home prices, we can see we've got some pretty good average sales numbers. We still see average sales up from 2007, down from 2006, but take that 2006 number with a little bit of a grain of salt. We actually saw a lot of higher-end homes getting sold that particular September back in 2006. So that's a little bit artificially high, just because we have much smaller numbers, and 2 or 3 really big events can affect that number and nudge it one direction or the other artificially. So it's really been more of a gradual increase. That 2006 number, if we ignored a couple of the extreme high numbers, that graph would look a lot more smooth between 2005 and 2008. So actually fairly good performance on average sales price. In fact, I'd say very good performance. The average home price is up 17.6%. That's actually an increase of in dollar value, $237,550. That's a little bit higher than I think I would take away from this. In other words, I don't think anyone out there who's thinking about selling should be thinking that whatever it would have sold for a year ago, I should now be adding 17.6% to it. Because again, we've had one of these months where some higher end homes have sold, and when you hear the price on the most expensive home that's sold in Los Gatos, I think you'll get an indication as to why that number is a little bit artificially high. I think the slope would be quite a bit more mild between 2007 and 2008, only a very mild increase, definitely be single digits. So don't get too excited about it, but it's still fairly good news for the Los Gatos market. And of course, since most folks don't look any deeper into these numbers, they're just going to look at that number and sing the praises of the market. And that's not really the reality that a lot of folks living in Los Gatos are facing right now. Now, the average home price was $1,583,780. The median home price change was down 6.1%. And this is one reason. This is also an indicator. Whenever you see something like this, a huge disparity between median home price and the average home price, like you did in 2006, and like we see now, that's when you can sort of get a guess that things have changed a little bit. Now, given that spread between median and average, you might even conclude, well, wow, maybe if we discounted some of those super high priced properties, we'd actually be down a little bit. That argument could be made, but in looking at the numbers myself, I think that we can still say we at least got a couple of percent increase in average home price in Los Gatos from the same time last year. Now, so what does this median bar tell us? It basically tells us that majority of the homes in the group that were sold in the month of September were actually far below the average price that's listed here. And again, this is primarily because we had a couple of properties that were just way at the high end, kind of throwing off the numbers for us. Now, the median price for a dollar change was down $1,202,500. The highest priced home, single-family residence, was on Matilda Drive in Los Gatos, and that sold for $7,200,000, down from $9,450,000. And that home was on the market for 99 days. Lowest priced home was on Loma Chiquita Road in Los Gatos, and that sold for $200,000. Its list price was $254,000, and that was only on the market for 3 days. So, the market is still happening out there. Things, and I actually got a chance to see both of these. I didn't see the low end property that sold. Saw some photos of it. It was in the Los Gatos Mountains, actually, so a little bit off the beaten path. But the Matilda Drive property was actually a stunning, beautiful property, a gated lot. So it was very, very nice. But again, kind of throws off the numbers when we're looking at the overall market with homes kind of at that price range. Now, the average price per square foot was $656.04. We had some properties that sold with as much as $1,200 per square foot. So some real shocking variation in that number this month. And the average days on the market was 77 for these homes. And we'll look at those numbers a little bit more closely here in a second. Now, if we look at home prices just over the past month, sort of get more of a short-term trend feel for what's been happening, the average price has gone up and down, and usually you'll see that because we have such a small number of homes that sell in any given month. You'll see a little bit of variation. So what you're trying to get out of this is really an idea of, if you were able to draw an averaged straight line through this whole thing, what's really the trend? And at the same time, you sort of have to adapt for the market influences. For instance, June and July, we normally see, June, July, and August, we normally see higher prices. Now, if you sort of run through that process and take a look at how things have been performing, and then you also factor in some of these median prices, the last few months we've seen a lot of higher end homes have been getting sold. Overall, I think we're in a position where average home prices are declining in Los Gatos. I think that as we head into the future months, there's a good chance that instead of us seeing very small increases, I think we'll see very small decreases in average sales price, at least for the average properties. And of course, I will always pay close attention to that for you and point those situations out to you as they arise. Now, as I mentioned, the average home price was $1,583,780. The percentage price change between August and September was actually down 5.2%. The median price change was down 13.5%. Total number of homes sold, 29. So not only is the average home selling for less when compared to last month, but the median is so far down. So the most attention that is being spent on homes right now really is at levels far below what the average price is. So in this case, you can see that the median price is right around 1,200,000, right in that ballpark. That's where more of the activity, and below is where more of the activity is happening. That's where more weight as far as the number of homes that are selling, that's where the action's happening. So So you need to understand that in pricing your home, that some of these numbers are really not going to apply to your property. You need to get, each property is unique in Los Gatos, and you're going to need to really get some specific market analysis on your property if you are interested in selling. I don't want anyone to walk away from this thinking, wow, things are fantastic. Despite the rest of the market things that are going on, I can ask for more for my home. It's really not the case. So much of it depends on where in Los Gatos your property is and the type of property it is. So don't take the year-to-year data as indicating you should increase your price. It really is going to come down to what the unique situation is for you. But in general, our market from year to year is up. In the near term, it's down, and I expect it to go down a little bit more. All right, now let's take a look at how many days it's taking to get homes sold here in Los Gatos. As you can see, we're up. We're not at our worst numbers. Back in 2006 was where we had 95 days to get a home sold. I've got a little bit more of a breakdown on this for you. Previously, in previous months, we would get some pretty large numbers, but they were a little artificially high. We'd get a few properties that were on the market for hundreds and hundreds of days, and those would sort of artificially increase these numbers. It's a little bit less of that this month. I'm seeing far more properties being sort of huddled at the area above 30 days, whereas previously the majority of homes were selling in less than 30 days. This month, that's not the case. Now, between September of 2007 and September of 2008, the average days to sell a home increased by 14. So it took 14 more days to sell a home in 2008 than at the same time in 2007. That's an increase of 22.2%. Now, the lowest days on market was 3 days. The highest days on market was 331 days. Now, no homes sold before they got listed on the MLS in Los Gatos. This is one of those communities where on a semi-regular basis we will see homes that sell before they ever even get on the MLS. That did not happen in September. Homes on the market 1 to 7 days, 1. Homes on the market 8 to 30 days, 7. Homes on the market 31 to 90 days, 12. So the majority of the homes are huddled actually in a period of time longer than 30 days. And the homes on the market 90 or more days, 9. Now, 38% of the homes sold in 30 days or less. That's a big drop from what we've seen in previous months when we've analyzed this data. Normally, it was up around half of the homes. Sometimes, in many cases, more than half of the homes were selling in less than 30 days, and the average number was being artificially weighted high because of properties that were taking forever to sell. Really not so much the case. This having to wait to get your home sold is becoming far more mainstream for the average folks out there trying to get their home sold than has been the case in the past. So sellers need to be calibrating themselves to the idea that it's likely to take them longer to get their home sold than they may have anticipated. Now let's go ahead and look at these same numbers, just going back previous months. Now, just from a month-to-month standpoint, between August and September, the amount of time it took for a home to get sold increased by 6.9%. That's in terms of days, that's 5 more days to get a home sold in September than in August. Now, if we look at these numbers and sort of try to guess where we're going to go from here, you know what? We have got very little synchronization, really, between last year's market and this year's market. We saw a season for the summer last year that really was more robust. Homes were selling a lot more quickly. In fact, if you go back and you look at the July numbers for 2007, you'll see that 63 days is actually artificially high because of just 2 properties that took a lot longer to sell than everything else. That number, if you allowed for that or took that into account, would actually be down closer to those other 2 months. So we'd actually see a very flat, low performance. If you look at this year, you can see in general, what's really interesting is the season came early for Los Gatos. As far as days on market is concerned. Homes were selling in 41 days in May, 58 days in April, and then in June everything shot up 72, 73, 72. Now, and some of that just has to do with selling off old stock, but we didn't have a huge inventory at that point. So we didn't have a whole lot, unlike the county that has just a huge pile of homes that are waiting to get sold that have been on the market for hundreds of days. Los Gatos has been suffering a little bit less from that. So that's a true increase. I mean, that June, July, August numbers are good as far as being realistic expectations on what it's taking to get some of these homes sold. All right. Now, I do appreciate you all taking the time to listen to what I have to say on these subjects. If you'd like to listen to any of my other podcasts, or any of my podcasts, which I do weekly, or any of my other market analysis, which I publish on YouTube, you can find links to those at my website at www.soldbyrobert.com. You'll also be able to find articles that I write occasionally on real estate, and some of those are pretty good. You can check those out. If you'd like to get in touch with me directly via email, you can send those to robert@soldbyrobert.com. Or if you'd like to call me, discuss real estate, discuss your personal needs in real estate, feel free to do that at 408-852-0525. If you prefer to chat online, you can find me at AOL Instant Messenger, Google Talk, and Yahoo IM with the screen name The Rebel Broker. On Skype, you can find me with the screen name Rebel Broker. And of course, referrals are always appreciated. If you or anyone you know is interested in real estate in Silicon Valley, please get in touch. Also, if you're interested in real estate anywhere in the continental United States, I can refer you to someone in the business who is not an idiot and can take care of you and do right by you and help you get your goals achieved in real estate. So feel free to give me a call and I can refer you to anyone anywhere in the United States. Thanks again, and I'll talk to you all next time.